What's going on, people of YouTube? A couple weeks back, we brought you reviews of the Toyota Tacoma and all-new Ford Ranger. But you can't forget about the truck that kick-started the whole mid-size truck revival, the Chevy Colorado. It has seen a lot of success since it was reintroduced, and now for 2019, there are quite a few refinements to update the winning formula. Of course, we do want to especially thank our friends at Sutherland Chevrolet in Nicholasville for giving us access to this fully loaded Colorado. And if you're in the market for any new Chevy, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with more and more rivals entering the market, let's see if Colorado can continue its massive growth in the segment. So like always, we'll start off with the exterior styling, which in this case is unchanged. That means you'll continue to find this typical Chevy chrome grille across most models, though on the Z71 it is black, and you can now get a new Chevy lettered grille as an extra option. As far as the headlights, they will always be halogens across the lineup, but on the Z71 and LT with the luxury package, you'll find these upgraded projector beam units. Fog lights are also standard on the LT and Z71. Heading on to the side, the Colorado stands out from most of the rivals by the fact that you can get all 3 cab and bed configurations with all 4 trim levels. So that means you can have a loaded Z71 with the access cab, or a base model with the crew cab and either the short or long beds. And then checking out the rear, it has the traditional truck look, but it has been spiced up with the chrome bumper and other chrome accents all around the truck since we do have that luxury package. The taillights are incandescent, and then down below you'll find a larger exhaust pipe than normal since this is the diesel. But overall, the Colorado is aging gracefully and still looks very handsome, especially with the extra chrome elements that our last Z71 did not have. However, not everything is entirely carryover this year, since we have the brand new 18-inch dark argent alloy wheels, which are a $1,000 option on the LT. Since this is the trim that's the most luxury-minded of the bunch, there are several other 18-inch options. Plus, for 2019, the brand new RST package throws in 20-inch alloys. But as far as the standard options go, both of the top trims come with 17-inch alloys, and the lower 2 trims with 16-inch steel wheels. Heading on up to the mirrors, you have to get the Z71 or the LT with luxury package to get power adjustment, as well as the heating feature that was added last year. You cannot, however, get blind spot monitoring on any trim. And as far as other safety features, we have the optional safety package that includes forward collision alert, lane departure warning, and parking sensors. But there are not any active safety features like in the Tacoma or Ranger. Now heading back around to the rear areas, the Colorado offers excellent tow ratings. The base model delivers 3,500 pounds, the V6 7,000 pounds, and this diesel a class-leading 7,700 pounds. You also have a very versatile bed with a lot of standard tie-downs, lighting, and easy access thanks to the bumper steps. Additionally, on this model, we have the optional easy lowering tailgate and spray-on bed liner. And finally, the last thing to look at on the outside is the 21-gallon fuel tank, which in this diesel 4x4 model is good for a fantastic range of 462 miles. But anyways, that's it for the exterior. So now let's see all the 2019 changes Chevy has made to the cabin. So on the LT and Z71 Colorados, you will find a standard keyless entry system. However, smart entry is not on any Colorado. On this particular one, you will also notice we have the remote start system that comes in the LT convenience package or is standard on the Z71. Now, of course, to get inside the vehicle, you're just going to press the unlock button. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2019 Colorado. As you can see, nothing has really changed as far as the design. So you continue to have several different trims with different options. So starting out with your base model and your WT, you have either cloth or vinyl seats finished in only black. However, when you go up to the LT, you get black or ash color options, and you have a standard cloth seat, or like this model, you have optional leather. The same kind of thing goes for your Z71. So that one comes standard with a leather trimmed seat and cloth in the middle. However, it can also get this full leather. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is nicely finished. You do have a soft touch material for your arm to rest on as well as above it, but the top part is hard touch. As far as your windows, they are one touch automatic for the drivers only. Now turning over here to the seat, this is where one of your 2019 changes occurs. The previous 4-way power seat has been upgraded to 6-way power seat for the LT and Z71 trims. So basically you have the height adjustment as well as your power lumbar. However, the back is still manually adjusting. And then heading up here to the seat itself, this leatherette does feel pretty high quality, and you do have a nice color contrast stitching. Now we don't actually have any running boards, but you can get them as an option, but getting in is still pretty easy regardless. So like I was saying, there's no real changes to the design this year, nor are there any changes to the materials. So you do continue to have very durable materials, including up here on the upper dash, where it continues to be hard touch. However, you will notice that you do have a new speaker grill up here at the top. But going back to the materials, everything in here is hard touch. However, like I was saying, it's very well put together, it feels very solid. And of course, you can get the more luxurious materials by going for the GMC Canyon. Now to start the vehicle, you just have an old-fashioned key, so you just turn it in there and twist. Now coming up here to the screen, this is another one of your 2019 changes. All models now come with the new Chevy Infotainment 3 system versus Chevy MyLink. And in addition to that, enrolling students who want to work. In addition to that, you will also notice that on the base models, you now have a 7-inch touch display versus the old 4.2-inch display. So of course we do have the diesel, and it has a very distinct startup. So checking out the gauges here, they do have a simple and attractive design. And when you go for the upper two trims, you do have a nice large 4.2-inch color multifunction display. Now this does have all the same controls as you expect from GM vehicles, and it's got the upgraded graphics this year. So you can just scroll through different things like your settings, your phone, navigation, and whatnot. And then coming back to the steering wheel, you do have electric power steering. And on the LT and up, you do have a leather-wrapped steering wheel. As far as your controls, these come on the upper two trims once again. And new this year is a heated steering wheel that's standard on the Z71 and optional on the LT. Then coming here to the other side, you've got your standard phone, voice, and controls for the multi-function display. As far as the wheel itself, it does manually tilt and telescope. And then over here to the side of that, you'll find your four-wheel drive controls, as well as the controls for your trailer brake. But anyways, moving on to storage, you will find quite a lot of storage for a small pickup truck. So starting out over here with your center console, you can open it up, and as you can see, it is quite large and very, very deep. one of your 2019 changes is that this USB port has been eliminated and instead moved up front here in a more convenient place where you can stick your phone and plug it in, and it's just easier here. And then you will also find a 12-volt outlet as well. Now moving over here to your shifter, of course it is just a traditional shifter, so you just squeeze it and bring it back to drive. You can also go back one more for low, and you can control the shifting manually with these little toggles, but there are never any paddle shifters. Another one of the nice content changes for 2019 is that the standard backup camera has now been upgraded to HD resolution, so this looks a lot clearer than it did last year. You continue to have active trajectory, but you also now have the trailer brake, the trailering lining up line. You will also find parking sensors optional on the LT and standard on the Z71. But anyways, moving on up from that, you will find your 3-stage heated seats. These come optional on the LT and standard on the Z71, but in typical Chevy fashion, you do actually get to control the butt and the back portions separately. And then going up above that, you'll find another row of toggles. This, of course, is your exhaust brake, and that is only on the diesel. And then you've got your traction control, bed lighting, lane departure warning, and your parking sensors. Anyways, moving on up to your climate controls. This is the single zone automatic setup that comes standard on the Z71 or through the luxury package on the LT. Just like any automatic setup, you can just press the auto mode, adjust the temperature, and then it will control the fan speeds and the zones for you. And then everything, of course, is located right here physically, so it's very easy to use even with gloves on. So now that brings us up here to our audio system. This model actually comes equipped with the optional $500 Bose Premium sound system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Sound quality is very good for a small pickup truck. But anyways, that brings us up here to one of our biggest 2019 changes, which, like I already mentioned, is the new Infotainment 3 system. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so as you've seen in many recent Chevrolets, the new infotainment system has a new design, better performance, better looking graphics. But overall, the features are pretty similar, so wouldn't be too difficult to get used to from the old Chevy MyLink system. So to start out with, you do have your regular home screen, and you can click into these things to expand them and control them. So right here we have our Bluetooth audio, and you can play and pause the music straight from here. You'll also notice there's some shortcuts along the bottom, and you can click into any of these things to quickly jump into that section. So going into your phone section, as you can see, all of your contacts from your smartphone automatically sync over, and scrolling is very, very smooth. Going back over here to the home screen, we can click into the navigation system. This is the new dynamic navigation setup where it can update over the air, and as you can see, the graphics and performance are a lot better than before, and you can even control things like the 3D tilt, so very nice overall setup. Now, if you don't choose the optional navigation, you do still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on all the models, even the base models, which is new for 2019. But anyways, that's the main features I want to talk about for the Chevy Infotainment 3 system. However, we do have a much more detailed tech help video available for those of you who want to learn more. A link to that video will be provided in the description. Moving on up from that, we do have an auto dimming mirror with your OnStar buttons, and that is optional on the LT and standard on the Z71. And then going up from that, you will notice the lack of a moonroof. There is no moonroof on any Colorado, but that's actually the standard affair for the class, since the Ranger also does not include a moonroof on any of the trims. But anyways, the cabin of the Colorado continues to be a pleasant place to spend time. You have very spacious accommodations, and for 2019, a big upgrade in the technology department. So overall, it's a very pleasing cabin. And just like all GM vehicles, you do have the rear seat reminder system. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin. Alrighty, so checking out the rear seat of the 2019 Chevy Colorado Crew Cab, you're going to find a really large amount of space for its class. It comes in at 36 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of rear headroom, which does place it above the new Ford Ranger and the Toyota Tacoma. Now turning over here to the door trim, Chevy does give you nice materials. So you have a leather area where your arm will rest, as well as above it, and the top part is a nicely grained plastic. Now in addition to that, you do have a power window that is auto down, and of course you do have plenty of door storage since this is a pickup truck after all. Now as far as the seat itself is concerned, it is a nice design, so you have color contrast stitching. It's also very comfortable and leather wrapped. Now down in the center, despite most of the rivals not giving you any connections, Chevy does continue to give you 2 smart charging USBs, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. Down below that, you do also have some more storage. And in addition to that, you do have a nice center armrest, so the wrap, and has some cup holders. Also, you do have a manually sliding rear window on the Colorado. And up top, you do have some lighting. It's just your regular lighting, as well as a really nice headliner, assist grip, and coat hood. Now as far as the rear legroom is concerned behind Drew's seating position, I have plenty of it, so I have probably about 2 to 3 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. Now with the seat all the way back, as you can see, legroom is pretty limited, but that's expected for this class, and like I said, this is larger than most of the rivals. But overall, I continue to be impressed by the Colorado's rear seat. In a class where most of them don't have any features, the Colorado does give you some nice luxury amenities, as well as plenty of space. Now since this is a truck after all, the seats do fold up, so all you have to do is locate this little handle and pull up. Now as you can see, that is a little bit difficult with one hand, but underneath you will find plenty of storage. So you have this little compartment here, as well as another larger compartment over on the passenger side. So if you just go all the way through there, there's plenty of room. As you can see, they've even rolled up an entire carpet mat under here. And to release it, just pull the handle again. Now in addition to that, the seat backs do also fold. So just pull this little strap, and they fold right down. And there is also a little bit of storage back here as well. Now we will talk about the pricing here in just a minute. Over here on the passenger side, you do still have that really nice seat, and it is also 4-way power adjusting here on the LT, and it is standard on the Z71, although you do have to get the LT leather package to have it on the LT.
Now in front of the passenger we do have good materials. So the entire dashboard here is padded plastic. And down below that you do have a good sized glove box. And up top the sun visor is quite large, and it does have a nice mirror as well as 2 lights. And in addition to that, it does also detach and extend. But anyway guys, that covers all the rear areas of the Colorado. So now let's go ahead and check out that new turbo diesel engine.
So let's go ahead and talk a bit about the powertrain and fuel economy. Now, there continue to be 3 different options for the Colorado. They're unchanged from the previous model years. So your base model, you're still offered with a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, making 200 horsepower and 191 pound-feet of torque. That can be paired to either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic transmission. And it is, like I said, your base option. It's available across all of the trim levels. Optional across all of the trim levels is a 3.6 liter V6. That makes 308 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque, and it is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And from what I've seen, that's probably the most popular engine option.
Yeah, for sure.
However, there is one more option. It's what we have. That's the most unique option. It is a turbo diesel, so nothing else in the class has that yet. 2.8 liter turbo diesel, making 181 horsepower, but 369 pound-feet of torque. So that's why you buy the diesel, of course. And that's paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. And finally, for your fuel economy, there are a whole bunch of figures which we'll just put up on the screen instead of reading them all aloud. However, with the turbo diesel, it is the most efficient option, coming in at 19 city, 28 highway, 22 combined with 4-wheel drive, or 23 combined if you go for the 2-wheel drive version. That definitely makes it one of the most efficient mid-sized trucks you can get, period. But anyways, now we'll go ahead and take it for a test drive. Taking off in the Colorado diesel, I have to say I'm very impressed by the way it feels off the line. You can definitely feel that 300 pound-feet of torque working for sure. You know, the horsepower rating is pretty low.
Yeah,
but
it really pushes you back in your seat.
Exactly. The reason you get the diesel is for that torque, and it definitely doesn't disappoint. Now this is a small truck, but it definitely has that big truck sound with the diesel. Not really loud and intrusive. It's actually very refined for a diesel, but you can, of course, still hear that it is a diesel.
And I do want to mention, while we're sitting here, it does idle very smooth. It's not like a semi-truck in the way it idles. It, you know, you can hear a little bit, but it's not going to be like jarring your teeth out just sitting at a red light. Now, sitting here at a red light, I do want to point out that auto start stop is not available on the Colorado, so for those of you that don't like it, you're not going to find it here in the Colorado.
up to highway speed definitely is effortless. And once again, very quiet too. You know, with the diesel, you stay in the low RPMs, a lot of torque, so you don't have you know, any type of screaming engine sound or anything like that. And it definitely feels really smooth here, cruising down the road.
Yeah. The ride quality is really sublime in this car. The seats are pretty comfortable, and this is a rough road, and like you said, there's really not much you know, bumps making it into the cabin.
This seems to be tuned to have a softer ride than the Tacoma.
For sure, yeah.
Six-speed automatic transmission definitely seems well matched with the diesel engine. Like I said, with that type of torque, you don't have to do a whole lot of shifting anyways, and it definitely shifts smoothly. But overall, I'm impressed by the way the Colorado diesel drives. Like I said, this is a class exclusive. There are no other diesel mid-size trucks for sale in the United States right now, and I think Chevy's definitely got a winner on their hands. You know, because if you want a diesel, really until recent years, you had to get a gigantic heavy-duty truck, and I really appreciate that diesels are moving down to full-size and mid-size trucks, so everybody has the option to, you know, experience the better fuel economy, the better towing, the torque, and that really, you know, heavy torque of the engine. It's a pleasant experience overall.
Alrighty, and as far as the pricing is concerned for the 2019 Colorado, there are a lot of different combinations you can get, as with any pickup truck. So what I'm going to read you is for the extended cab, which is like the shorter door one, two-wheel drive with the base 2.5 liter engine.
Which is available, that combination is available on
Across
all four of the trims.
So the very base model in that super basic configuration will ring you in at $21,300. If you want to go to the WT, that is $24,800. Then this model, which is the LT, comes in at $27,600. And finally, the top of the line Z71 is $30,700. Now, obviously, this model being the LT is not $27,000 so this does have quite a bit of optional equipment. So to get the crew cab and four-wheel drive, the LT's base price is $34,200. Now, like we already mentioned, we do have the turbo diesel engine, which is a $3,700 option. And in addition to that, we do also have several option packages. So we have 18-inch alloy wheels for $1,000, as well as these jet black leather seats, which is $950, as well as the LT convenience package for $690, and that includes the remote start and rear window defrosters and the easy lowering tailgate. Now, in addition to that, we do also have the safety package for $690, which adds in some of your safety systems. And we do have a premium audio system for $500, as well as the navigation system on here for $495. And also, we have a spray and bed liner for $475, which is a factory option there, as well as a locking rear differential for $325, trailering equipment for $250, all-weather floor mats, and an engine block heater for $100. So we do have quite a few options on this model, and plus the destination charge of $995. This one's total brings in at $45,840.
So in essence, with the LT, you can equip it to have all of the same features as your Z71, just with the different styling. Like
all
ours
chrome
is,
stuff.
Yeah, ours is more chromed up and stuff.
Well, guys, we've enjoyed watching this in-depth look
at the 2019 Chevy Colorado LT Duramax Diesel. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.